All right, party people in the place to be, vandals. We are back with a brand new episode of Pink Spots, and once again, we are going to be looking at a mostly forgotten work of art by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. We will be looking at the second book of Incognito. This one is subtitled Bad Influences. But before we get into that, Joey, you got a check in, bro?
Yeah, man. I actually got some reading in this weekend for a change, quite a bit too. So I told you I got that shipment from Comics on the Green, which is thanks to Becky. I got Orc Island. So I read issue 2 and issue 3 of Orc Island. The creative team on that is Joshua Dysart and Alberto Ponticelli.
Ponticelli. Chef kisses,
Ponticelli,
man.
yeah, with Matt Hollinsworth on colors, who is my favorite colorist. So when I saw that creative team, like after reading, what was the one we did for TKO?
Uh,
Goodbye
Goodbye Paradise.
Paradise. Love that book. Fell in love with that book. So when I saw this creative team was putting out a new book, I had to get it. So I've read issue
Yeah, like
one,
a
two, and
black
three.
metal book too, huh? Like, I mean, at least they give it that little
The
real black
yeah,
metal feel with the covers and the logo and shit.
the,
Like,
the logo, yeah, for sure. I was able to read it because I remember when it first came out and they were advertising it. He was like, "Who can tell me
who
what the
can read
title is?"
this? Yeah, if you can
Yeah, who
read
can
this,
read this? Yeah, exactly. So I was like, "Yeah, I read it. I was able to figure it out." So yeah,
I got a
and
kick
it
out of that when he did it too, because like I'm a huge
uh,
black metal fan and like I can't even read their names sometimes on album
it
covers. So
it depends what the background, how busy the background is. Like when it's a more solid, like issue 1, it's easier to tell a little bit because you don't get like different colors competing, so you can kind of see the lettering a little better.
I
Yeah.
thought it was I could see orc right away, but I thought it said the orc is sad, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's a pretty weird name for a comic, but whatever. It's no weirder than Orc Stain, I guess. By
But I think he showed the logo too without a cover, like just the writing, which made it easier to read because sometimes the head, like every cover, you have something breaking into the writing, so it makes it harder to read. So anyway, yeah. So there was that, which is Orc Island is a dark fantasy. Like it's pretty brutal, uh, pretty gory. There's some pretty gory scenes, pretty violent. So. It's basically the story of a half elf because orc skulls are kind of a currency in this world, and they were attacking, so they make this veil to protect this other realm from the orcs. And there's a festival every year where people bring orc skulls, and so these adventurers get together to go to Orc Island to try to collect orc skulls so they could be rich because they're like street kids and stuff. So anyway, so it's their adventure going to Orc Island to try to get skulls to become rich. Yeah. So
Sup, Zod? How you doing, brother? That 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 seems like a dumb idea though. Like orcs are like inherently violent and they're usually
mhm,
pretty gnarly and got really nasty weapons that are made out of like
yeah.
unsharp rocks and like awful
And
shits.
see, I'm not super familiar with orcs, but in here, it's the women that are the dominant of the sexes. They're the ones who go into battle. They're bigger in stature. The men are smaller. Like the male orcs are smaller, and it's the women that are the warriors and the female orcs. I don't know if that's common in all mythology
No,
for
not
orcs.
really, but it kind of tracks with certain animals. Like
Yeah, so that's like all the females are they're bigger and they're the ones who go into battle and fight and yeah, are
that,
warriors in this, which is pretty cool.
yeah, that's a nice change up though. I like that idea,
Yeah, yeah. So
Dysart's
far,
always pretty good.
pretty solid, pretty solid. I haven't like I'm not a big fantasy guy. Like I'll read some and I'll enjoy it, but I'm not a huge fantasy type guy. But yeah, that one's pretty good because it's pretty violent, pretty dark. So it's not like that whimsical kind of fantasy. So I'm digging it. Um, let's see. All right, I'll do these last. So I got to reading the final issue of Nobody's Girls, and it wasn't a shocking ending. It was a satisfying ending. everything got wrapped up in a pretty little bow, and then it ends with like this little message of like like nobody owns her. Nobody like they leave with a little message like that, like you know nobody owns anyone. Or anyway, it was all right. It was pretty good.
Mhm.
But I like the lead up to the final issue more, like the mystery when they're trying to figure it out and stuff.
So it kind of had more like a movie ending than like a really good comic book ending.
Yeah, like uh, I'll let people read it. I don't want to give it away, the story, because there's a little moment in it that kind of leads up to it, and I don't want to give it away because it's part of the. Yeah, we talked about this too. I said I picked that up. I read that
Yeah, it's
where
pretty good.
monsters lie. It wasn't bad. Yeah, it was pretty fun. Kind of
It's another one of those play on like all the slasher tropes, kind of all getting
yeah,
played together at once. You have
it's a
all the different
retreat.
types of slasher.
Yeah, it's a retreat for when killers are on their downtime. They go to this place while they're gearing up and planning for their next killing sprees.
I mean, I could see this
So
having a really neat crossover with Count Crowley, though. That would be gangster, like because they kind of had
yeah,
a similar type of humor to them. They're kind of
yeah. Count Crowley did a crossover with what was it? There was a crossover book, Count Crowley and Macabre Criminal.
oh, she crossed over with Cal McDonald. That's awesome. I'll have to get
Yeah,
that.
yeah. There's an issue out of that. So if you like
Did Steve Niles
crossovers,
write it or
I have it. I didn't. It was Count Crowley, so I picked it up. I didn't.
okay,
In my. I haven't read it. It's in my boxes somewhere. But yeah,
cool.
uh, this came out last week too. Uh, Liquid Kill. I was pretty hyped for this. This is one of the books I was really looking forward to. Really good. It's pretty much set up. You're setting up characters. You're setting up your, which I find in the first issue they don't really have a clear protagonist antagonist. Like you have this group of people, someone gets kidnapped. There's these group of people are abducted, are looking for them, but if they're the protagonist, they're pretty brutal and violent. They'll kill without a second thought. So it's pretty ambiguous, which I like. Like you don't know who the hero necessarily or the villains are from the first issue, which is pretty cool. The only it was good. The art is fantastic. The only problem I have is with the coloring, because if you look at the covers, you get this nice. All the covers had like these nice neon punches of color, and I find the interior art. Uh, Max was posting a lot of it, and it popped a little more on the computer screen. And I don't know if they had a problem with the printers because it came out like pretty dark and muted. All the colors, like
Kind of washed looking.
not washed, but like there's not enough contrast. So sometimes it's hard to like the characters don't stand out in some pages, and like I just don't know if maybe the printers like like a lot of these scenes are at night, so I'm assuming that it might be just because a lot of these scenes are at night. But was this like this scene? I remember he posted this page right here,
Yeah,
and
and it was all.
it seemed much brighter and not as muted, like
Yeah, the neon flashes were almost 3D. They almost popped off the page. I remember when you
yeah,
posted that on Inst.
yeah,
Was it? No, it was on Discord where you posted that to show me.
yeah. And so I was a little disappointed with that because the covers, like, you get those nice pops, like a nice pop of color every here and there. Like it's not like, I mean, it's you get that neon background, but I mean, I didn't expect the whole book to be like that. But I thought so. I don't know if there's issues with the printers, maybe with the coloring or something. But it's a solid first issue, though. I definitely recommend people pick it up. I just like that. Like, if I could talk to them, just ask them. Maybe did you have issues like the printers trying to get the colors right, or because it just seems like it just pops less than what I saw from the sample pages they were posting on social media. I read this issue 2 of the Swamp Thing, Green Hell, and I mean, fuck, beautiful book. I mean, Doug Mankey does a fantastic job with the art. Constantine's just a despicable prick like he always is. It's a fun read, great read. not as good as the first, but still a really good second issue. And I think that issue 3 is dropping either next week or the week after. I think it drops in the beginning of March. Uh,
And that's the end of it.
yeah, it's a 3 issue series. Yeah. Uh, read this Black Sun, and man, this is probably my favorite book that I have in my box now. Black Sun. It's about there's like a
Vampires,
like
right?
no, I don't. You don't. It still hasn't been revealed. It's they're slowly pulling. They're pulling the curtain back very slowly, but there's a black like an eclipse type thing, which is a black sun, and it's happened twice in the space of 30 years or something. And all the children that were conceived during the black sun, like they're more pale skinned, and they seem to have like these weird powers and like I mean, the art in it's fantastic. I love the art. The art in this.
It's a European
And
book, right?
yeah, it's a Blaze. So yeah, it's I believe they're is it Italian or
Yeah.
Spanish creators? Yeah.
Isn't like
So
one of them named Amici or something?
uh, Ciccio, Dario Ciccio,
Yeah.
Letizia Cadenici,
There you.
Francesco Segala.
Yeah,
Segala. Yeah. So
they're Italian fellas.
yeah, like I love the art. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah. Colors are great. The art they keep it fairly simple. Like they don't go too big on the details. It's pretty loose, but great stuff. And then finally, uh, picked up Sumerian, the Firstborns issue 2 and 3. So this is like in kind of a meteorite hits the Earth, and these kids touch it, and something happens to them. Like it triggers something in them, and I don't know if they're descendants from other alien races. So when they touch it, it triggers something inside them. Hence why they're called the Firstborns. It's still pretty vague what they're going. Like it's issue 3, so you're just starting to get like reveal kind of like yeah. And see, another kid touched it, and he went up in flames. And these other kids, then it gets warped because it's the same creators that did Purple Oblivion, the writers, the Pleskins. They did Heavy Metal Drummer, and they're always dealing with that uh,
Psychedelic horror.
psychedelic, like otherworld, like other dimension, or all you know. So it's dealing with that, and it's the same artist that did Heavy Metal Drummer. It's the same artist that's on this one. So yeah, and I finished reading issue 3. Was it Saturday night? And at the end of the issue, there's an ad for a new book that's coming out in 2023. Yeah, that's it right there. One of us is the killer. So it's going to be written by basically that's Dillinger, the Dillinger Escape Plan's last album, I think.
Yeah. At
So
this moment, it's their final album. Like,
yeah, as of now, yeah, and that was what almost 10 years ago this album came out,
yeah,
or
it's been
close
it's
to
been
that.
a long time. Yeah.
Been a while, yeah, and it's going to be the funny story is, like, I was like, oh man, because I've chatted with Sam Romsberg. He's one of the writers, and Ben Roberts is a writer. They write together. They did Children of the Grave for Scout Comics that came out right around when the pandemic, right? I think first hit. Their book was coming out, which was a great book. And so then I was like, dude, I was like, fuck, I just finished reading Firstborns number 3, and I saw the ad at the end for your new book. And he didn't even know they were fucking putting ads out in the comics where he's like, what? He's like, oh, take a picture of it and send it to me in my DMs. So I took a picture of it and sent it to him. He's like, holy shit. He's like, we're not even close to being done the comic and they're already advertising it.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
So okay, so they're still like working on it.
It's
Yeah.
in yeah, they're in the process of working on it. It's not like all the issues aren't done or anything. He's like, we're still working on it. He's like, I didn't even know they were gonna be putting ads in it and stuff. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. And this is something like we're talking about. You were saying like when
That's
you
what I was
found
kind
it.
of hoping that
Yeah,
Sumerian would do when they would, because they got a lot of really good bands that do conceptual albums. Like my favorite band
mm,
in the world, Between the Buried and Me, are a Sumerian band, and they do mostly conceptual albums. I don't know
yeah,
what the narrative of most of them are, but like I would love to like have a really good comic book that kind of breaks them down. And I thought that would be cool because I did say that I think on an episode or two ago, and it's
yeah,
really cool that you kind of showed this. And um, I I really like how this really kind of blends to the cover of the
yeah. The
actual
feather.
album.
Yeah,
So that's what really kind of hyped me is like not only just seeing that they're doing it, but like they're like actually like like
and
tying it really close together, which is cool.
I'm wondering what they're gonna. Are they gonna release like kind of do
I
it the
would
right
think
way?
that they'd have to have some
Vinyls,
kind of at least when the trade comes out, I have a release of it with the album.
or are they gonna pick like each issue is gonna cover maybe a few songs and kind of do like Matthew Rosenberg did, like except they're a record label, so they'll be able to get the vinyls out, and if they say there's a certain number, they'll probably be able to make sure there's a certain number. I'm stoked. What if they do like a comic vinyl type combo? Like these four songs are the soundtrack for this first issue, and then like release the whole album like with 7 inches, like that accompanies each comic, or who knows? Is it going to be like a graphic novel? Like I don't know anything about it yet. Like it's just
I've
that
listened to
ad.
the album quite a few times. I don't know what it's about. I didn't know that it was actually a conceptual album.
Yeah,
Um, it's it's a Dillinger Escape Plan album, so like I just can't imagine like a narrative being put to like the like of their music, but I'm down to check it out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
They're a very very visceral band. I know
yeah.
that. Like the few music videos that they have are really grotesque. So like, Lord knows what this comic book's gonna look like if the band has any input on it. You know what I mean?
So that's it. Once we get close to the release date, I'd love to have those guys on and we could talk about it because yeah, that'd be pretty awesome. Like I'm excited about that. Like at work, the guy I was work there's a guy I work with. We were working together this week, and Dillinger Escape Plan is one of his favorite bands, and I showed him that, and I was like, he doesn't collect comics or anything, but I was like, fuck, I'm gonna order two of each, and I'm just gonna give you one of them. He's like, yeah, yeah, fucking, I want that for sure. So he's fucking pumped for it. So yeah, so the like if they start doing that, you might get a lot of crossover where you get people that didn't read comics might you might convert a few people into to becoming comic fans by putting stuff out like this. Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked for it.
Yeah, I really hope that it is something special. You know what I mean, or at least something
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah, really looking forward to it. All right, what do you have a check in?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got Blue Book by
Oh,
James Tinian the Fourth and my homeboy Michael Avon Oming. I haven't really read it yet, but it seems really cool. It's really set in a 60s UFO era, 60s
yeah.
70s scene. Looks like not going to be as ambiguous as Department of Truth is. This one seems to really have like the aliens in the forefront of it. So I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I love the subject matter. Been
It
into
it takes place in my neck of the woods because it's the people are leaving Montreal coming down towards Connecticut, I think, right? Is that the story?
I
And
believe
there's
so. Here,
yeah,
let me take a look
and
really quick.
if I get my passport, get a new passport, man. I know Norton said he wanted to go where the comic took place and go to check it out, and I was like, I'll go meet you there, man, this summer if
Yep,
you drive up around there. Yeah, yeah. They leave from
cool.
Montreal, and they work their way down to Connecticut. So yeah,
But I'm pretty excited for it. Like I really like Oming's art, and it's a new Dark Horse book. Should be pretty cool. This one also I got because of what we're covering this week, and I thought it looked cool. I love Tim Seeley, and this is like I think it's a real life superhero type comic. I haven't really checked it out, but it looks pretty awesome. I like Seeley's writing, and should be good. But this I did read, and this I absolutely love this book. I'm pretty sure Joe wants me to quit talking about it already, but it's probably not going to happen because this episode was so awesome. I mean, this issue was so awesome. We kind of get to see what happened to Oberon after the carnival. He's probably my favorite character next to Mallory. And it's really cool because he gets to hang out with the crazy wild kids in the woods that wear the animal heads and shit. And it's pretty gangster. I liked that issue a lot. I thought it's really picking back up. And last thing I read was this and Saga 62.
Saga.
I don't usually read this month to month, but I have been because I really want to know where it's going. Because
You've
this
waited,
create
yeah, because you've already waited long enough, right?
Yeah,
So,
dog. It was 3 years, I think, of
yeah,
hiatus from
yeah.
like him
So,
leaving, like
yeah,
Marco and Prince Robot fourth. I mean, I'm yeah, and then like jumping ahead 3 years and then yeah, so I'm reading it and I know that they're gonna try to make me cry again. Like they love to do that. Like we got to do an episode pretty soon. The books that made us cry. Like I don't know if you've
oh,
ever cried reading a comic book. It's happened to me on occasion, but
yeah.
like yeah.
One that I have vivid memories of it. So,
Okay,
yeah,
cool. So like we could definitely
yeah.
probably do that episode in the future. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really digging this. I really like the time jump ahead. I like the kind of shitty teen punk rock versions of Hazel and Squire. I think they're really cool characters. I was worried about how they would depict Hazel as she got older,
Mhm.
and I think they really nailed it. Like she's a really compelling and interesting character, like both her mom and dad were. So
That's cool. I like that where it just progresses and it moves on from like from the parents to the kid, and like like that's. Yeah. I've read
well,
the first.
the mom's still there, but like it's about the kids now more
Have I
than
read the
like
first three or four trades? I can't remember. But anyway, I've read the first three or four trades of Saga, and
I'm not gonna
it's
lie,
good.
it kind of around 3 and 4, it kind of really dies down, but like 5, 6, and 7, it really gets super good, man, and like from there it just stays solid, in my opinion. But it kind of did lull when Alana became like a soap opera star or whatever, and got addicted to drugs. That was kind of a whack story arc, in my opinion, but
Mm,
it was cool. It got the book to where it needed to go.
mm,
So I'll probably need to reread it to see how I really feel, but that's
mm.
my check-in. How do you feel
Nice.
about talking about some bad influences?
Man, popped my cherry last pink spot. So we're continuing with the second arc to Incognito from Brubaker and Phillips.
Before
So
we dive into the synopsis and whatnot, how did you like the follow-up, Joe? Did you think it was a pretty good? Con- um,
I I liked it more than the first arc actually.
yeah, I'll
Yeah,
have to
I
agree with
enjoyed
you.
it.
Like,
Yep, yep. And fuck, this came out what in 2010 roughly?
yeah, it was right at the end of I think it was the last book Icon put out. They put out this and the last criminal book. Well, not the last criminal book for that time, like the last of the
And
innocent. Like those were the last two to come out.
and the way this book ends, like it's like fuck, like
Never gets picked back up either, and it was
yeah,
getting
that's what I'm saying.
so
And it's
good, right?
been 13 years now, or roughly 13 years. So I don't know if we'll ever see them pick this back up.
It would be good though, right?
Yeah, like the way it ends, man, definitely would be good. Like it's just starting to get juicy. Yeah, yeah. So
So yeah, this one jumps ahead in time, and our homeboy Zach Overkill, he is working with the SOS, and he's kind
yeah,
of special buddies with Zoe Zeppelin.
Zoe Zeppelin. Yeah, because at the end of the other one, that's kind of what happens. Is he has that
Basically, if he
redemption? Yeah.
yeah,
At the end, he pretty much joins in talks of joining SOS at the end of the first arc. So then this arc opens up, and he's actually working with them because
well,
they're
if he
kind of
wants to keep his
negotiating. Yeah,
powers, he has to work with them. Otherwise, it's
with them.
go
Yeah.
back on the drugs. That
Mhm,
those are like his
mhm.
two options. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah. And they don't even bring that up in this. Like it's full on. He's working with them. They don't. Oh, hey, Surge.
hey
Added.
Serge.
they don't even talk about the drugs, or they don't refer to the first book all that much. They just, it's moving forward, right? It doesn't look back too much. It moves forward and progresses the story forward, which was great. Like,
Yeah, no, it kind of repeats some of the same story beats with certain
yeah,
characters, but
yeah,
like it's in this new era of his life with the new
yeah,
type of people he has to interact with.
yeah, 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 mhm, yeah, yeah. So he's working with the SOS, like you said, and they're going. Like you said, he has a very professional, hands-on relationship with Zoe Zeppelin. And at first, I was like, when I was reading, I was like, Zoe, but her father. And then I was thinking, because he's a clone of Lazarus, right? And I was thinking at first, like when I was first starting to read it, I thought Lazarus was her father.
Oh, snap.
But so then at first I was like, it's like she's sleeping with her young version of her dad. And I was like, wait a minute, no, no, Lazarus isn't her father. It's Zeppelin, like the Doctor Zeppelin guy. So I was like, oh, okay. So for a second there, I was like, what the fuck? Then I realized, like, okay, yeah, it's not Lazarus that's the father. It's the Zeppelin doctor guy. So then I was like, I just had to go back and check real quick. I was like, man, that's fucked up if he actually did that, man. That's like real big daddy issues going on there. Yeah, but that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
But for a second there, I was like, what the fuck? But it's all kosher. It's all kosher. Everything checks out. Yeah. So what's the there's an agent, an undercover agent, right? That's the catalyst of the story. They want to
Yeah, his name is
yeah,
Simon Slaughter,
Simon
and he
Slaughter. Yeah.
he's in charge of, are they Division 9? And they're basically like the AIM of this universe. Like they're kind of like this evil mad scientist collective where like they all got like matching little yellow outfits and stuff like that. They're kind of a lot more like cartoon uniform baddies, which a lot of fun. Let me see if I got a pic of them I could put up really fast. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. And they send him undercover to
Yeah, he went
infiltrate.
undercover years ago, basically
Yeah.
as like to be like a star witness, a guy that's like up at the head of the crime family, but like he starts liking it. He
Yeah.
goes he goes full in, which
Yeah. Kind of like The Departed almost, like he gets
yeah,
in there
that's what I
deep.
was gonna say about this book. I mean, I wasn't gonna use that movie in particular, but like it totally gives you like it's like a mobster film, but like with superpowers.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah, because he goes and infiltrates like a cop undercover, and they send him in. So then this is where they get the but we forgot leading up to, like, this is parallel. They're talking about Simon Slaughter, and they show scenes of Zach Zach
yeah,
Zach Overkill with his therapist, right? And that's important. Like, those scenes are kind of important because leading up to where Zoe wants to send him in undercover to try to bring back Simon, and the other guy that works with her, his higher up directly for Zach, like, he doesn't think he's ready, right? Because you know, from everything. And those scenes with the therapist leading up to that are kind of pretty important, like to put him in his mindset. But then Zoe like overrules him, so it's like, no, we don't have much choice. We got to do it now. And the other guy doesn't think he's ready to go in because he might just easily get back into his old crime. Because he, like, as we learned from the first arc, is Zach Overkill used to be part of the supervillains, and now he's reformed. And the other guy doesn't think he's ready to go back because he'll, you know, old habits are hard to break, and he thinks he'll go back to being a villain again. So he has a lot of doubts about Zach being able to go undercover and be able to come out on the other side and still be part of the SOS agency without turning to crime again. And then, yeah,
because like yeah, the scenes with this shrink, they show that like he is really having a hard time like thinking of normal people as being relevant or as having any value whatsoever. You know what I mean? He kind
yeah,
of doesn't. regard regular people at all and stuff, and like they're trying to integrate him more into society so he
Mhm.
doesn't have such a jaded view on most things. But as you kind of learn, Zoe Zeppelin kind of has the same view of humanity as he does because
Mhm.
she's so willing to just disregard all of that and make take all these sacrifices
Mhm.
at will. You
And
know what
they
I mean?
Yeah, and they show that little flashback of her with her father and him trying to teach her that just because you have all these powers doesn't make you better or superior to normal people, right? And he's trying to teach her that lesson. And it's nice how they layer that in with the flashback about like superpowered people having a superiority complex over normal people. So, and how her father tries to teach her that, to be humble and not to look down on people like that and stuff. So, yeah.
But also, while he's working with SOS, they're torturing him and scientifically experimenting on him constantly as well. Which he kind of says that like he doesn't really can't really tell the difference between working for the good guys or the bad guys at some point because it's just hop in this tube and let us stick shit in you for
Yeah.
half the time he's around, which
Yeah.
I kind of like about the book too. I like that it's really ambiguous with like, yeah, these guys might not be like super terrorists, but they ain't good people either. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
like that.
They have their agendas, right? And it's all about power, right? uh, Maintaining their power, and just like anything, like even in the first arc, you had the two groups, right? You had the SOS and you had that other group.
The
Uh,
Black Death gang. I
yeah,
think they're
so
just called, we're called the Black Death, right? I mean,
it's all about power struggles and stuff like that, and maintaining power, and yeah, and they touch on that a little bit throughout the story.
have a good
Yeah,
one, Serge. Thanks for stopping by, bro.
mm, yeah,
And
yeah,
another thing that's happening while this is going on is while walking across the street, which I love because this is such a cool comic book trope that like I love that they threw into this super dark story is just the odd crossing the street superhero moment. But in this point, old person real sees Zach Overkill and recognizes him, but doesn't recognize him as Zach Overkill. He recognizes him as Lazarus. And
Lazarus.
back in the day, he was an informant for Lazarus, but he got found out and put in a coma and woke up when he was old. So he is vowing to get revenge against Zach Overkill. So he is trying to set him up. He's
Mhm,
planting bombs um, and leaving Lazarus's DNA behind to try to get him in trouble,
mhm,
which is also going on while these kind of early stages of Zach going undercover with this in this organization to bring Simon Slaughter home is happening.
mhm. Yeah, it's funny because like we know, Zach Overkill is a clone of Lazarus, right? So he sees him as Lazarus, and this old guy, because like you said, he used to work as an informant for Lazarus, knows like where the secret base is and everything, so he can easily go there and find, like you said, DNA, this and that to plant and frame him. Yeah, and that leads up to a great scene where he goes back to his apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, after. Yeah, no, but before then, doesn't he? The old man confronts him, right? Or is that where the
No,
explosion?
it's after he gets blown out of his
Okay,
apartment. He
that's
gets
it.
blown out the window and stuff, and he lands, and the old dude's down there and
Waiting
starts
down there,
talking
waiting
shit.
for him. Yeah, starts talking shit to him. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pulls out a gun, starts fucking. But he must know. You can't just pull a gun on him and try to kill him that way, right? Because he worked with Lazarus, so he must know he's a strong guy, and you can't just kill him with normal bullets and stuff. I don't know what the old
Yeah,
man was thinking. Yeah, and of course, Zach's, he's pretty strong, and the old man, he's frail, so he clocks him one and accidentally kills him. So that leads to him being arrested by or taken in by the SOS, and yeah,
and this plays
with
into how he has to go
undercover.
undercover because
Yeah.
like they make it so it looks like he's
Breaking out
breaking
because
out and running away.
this is where Zoe seizes the opportunity. She's like, "This is the perfect opportunity," because publicly he killed this old man. So they're gonna pretend. because they know Zach's more or less innocent because the old man was trying to kill him and frame him. But she puts it out in the press that they're going to arrest him and send him to jail. And what they do is, so he can go undercover, like you said, is when they try to transfer him to prison, they set up this whole where he escapes from their custody, and that's a great part too. Is they sent a bunch of guards out that were either crooked, uh,
Or just bad
moles,
people, yeah.
or bad people, and they just let Zach kill them all. And he's like, "Okay, this guy that I killed, the other one I paralyzed, like." So then he's asking her questions, and she's like, "Nah, he was selling information, he was this and that, and like, so they're taking care of like two birds with one stone, right? Like getting rid of all these agents that are either uh, crossing them or like just bad agents, period, and just like crippling them so they can't work anymore." So that part was kind of funny too, where she's just using him for yeah to do her dirty
And
work.
you get this really cool kind of like Batman-esque sequence where he's kind of like searching out the night, trying to find the old haunts of where like the criminals congregate nowadays, because he knows like the general areas where like they might be, but like it's been so long since he's been a part of that world that like the places he was familiar with are all burnt or gone by now. So he has to try to find the some of it, and like it's kind of cool. He kind of like sets up these drug dealers and follows them around to where he comes across this super powered bordello where he
Yep,
runs into an old friend of his, Midas, and it
Midas. Yeah,
get this really kind of cool, like very Tarantino-esque sequence, I would say, where like they're at
yeah,
the super powered bordello having super powered party when all
mm,
hell breaks loose because
yeah.
Midas
Yeah,
at the
and this book doesn't have very many splash pages. I think what there's maybe
the
from this
covers are the only splashes. Everything's at least got
this one,
six
but there's
panels a
that one.
page.
There's one splash page in that issue where he goes to the brothel. It's a beautiful splash page, but it's the only one in that whole second arc where the like where he goes and he's like having fun with the girls, and all of a sudden, oh, they try to assassinate him, and where she's on his back and pulling on his ear, biting his ear. That splash page is fantastic. Yeah, yeah,
And yeah, really, really great action scene in the brothel because
yeah,
basically you end up finding out that the girls are kind of mind controlled by. It's kind of really messed up and like the way he describes it, and like it's kind of cool because you hear him talk in his head, and like he's not cool with it anymore. He's talking about like how when he was younger he would have had a ball, but like right now he can't get past the fact that the girls are forced to be here, and like how uncomfortable that makes him now.
yeah,
I really like the writing like that in this book.
yeah. And that's a reoccurring theme as he's getting back into the underbelly, into the criminal world. This is a reoccurring theme that they use, like where he's developed the empathy and a conscience, right? Like he can't, he just doesn't like he cares about other people's pain and suffering. It's something that he's developed, and they refer to it as what infected.
Infecting.
He's been infected by them, or some of the other criminals. Like that's what they refer to it as. Oh, they're infecting you. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so, yeah, after the big showdown, like he basically gets Midas to take him
yeah.
to where he wants to go. It's literally the underground is in the underground. It's in this old subway tunnel, and
Mhm.
like yeah, they take him there, and like he's gonna go talk to this dude about where to find the kind of laboratories for the what are
The
they, Division 9, Level 9,
division
yeah.
level 9 guys. Yeah, yeah. So you
And
can track down Simon Slaughter.
and he kind of runs into some of his old friends here. It's a really cool sequence. I really liked the way this played out because basically he's got a price on his head from the Black Death, but like
Yeah.
he's kind of playing that like he's kind of hoping that these people will be more friends of him than the old boss. So he kind of is
Well,
giving these
just
people a little more little benefit of the doubt than they deserve,
mhm.
I would
But
say.
like when he reads the bouncer the at the door, he's like, "Dude, I know you're thinking it. Like, do you want to try to cash in for for that reward. But the question is, can you take me? Like,
And he's like,
so he's
I'll
like
give
he
you
starts
five
thinking,
minutes.
yeah, that's it. I'll let you go in. Like, yeah, like can you take me? So he still has that little bit of a cocky mean streak to him though when it comes time. So yeah, that was a great scene. I love that scene where he's talking to the guy. Yeah, I know you want to cash in on that price on my head, but the question is, can you actually do it? Can you take me? And the guy like thinks about it and nah, not gonna do it. Yeah, that's where he
Yeah.
lets him in, like you said.
And he goes and talks to the fellow. What was his name? The
His old friend.
Yeah, the old guy that like he goes and actually gets the information from. What
Uh, I know Trip was the other guy that he used to
Yeah,
that they
Trip
used
is
as a
the guy that he
sidekick.
goes and stays with in a little bit.
Yeah,
And
that's the sidekick of him and his brother. I forget his name. That guy's name.
but he goes and talks to this dude, and basically the guy's willing to give him the information if he gives them Midas, because Midas is now a rat
Hmm.
for showing Zach where the
Zach.
underground is.
Hmm.
And Zach's like, no, dog. Like he's actually thinking that he's going to take Midas in to SOS and flip him as an asset. Like
Hmm.
he honestly thinks that he's getting his homeboy out, and like they're basically telling him no, like that's not going to happen, and they basically just blow Midas's brains out in front of him, which is
Yeah,
pretty gruesome. And
yeah,
that kind of causes this whole like throwdown where like Zach kind of beats the hell out of everybody involved, and gets his information, but he doesn't kill anybody, which is kind of an important point to bring up at the right here because later in the book you find something else happens. But he just kind of beats these people's ass because he really thought that he really think starting to get into the hero thing of way of things. You know what I mean? He kind of is thinking that like he can help people. You know what I mean? He was trying to think that with Midas, and
yeah,
it didn't.
and that's where the that story point comes up right after this, right? The whole Lazarus thing.
Yeah,
After all this goes down, yeah, that's where a hooded person goes around and starts killing people, like old criminals or people that would turn a blind eye to people committing crimes, and he would just go and judge them and mercilessly just judge, jury, and executioner. Like, just no, you could have done something and you didn't. You just ignored it. Bang, dead. And then he shows up after this incident, after Zach leaves, and ends up killing all those guys. And then the SOS kind of starts to look into it, and they think it's the son to the old man he killed. Because I don't remember how they come about it, but
well, because when I think they got to know each other really well after he woke up from the coma, and like he was the one that actually brought him to the old man to the where the laboratory was because he
mhm,
remembered where it was, and
yeah.
like he was just involved with it because of like what happened to his
But I don't know.
relative
I
supposedly.
I don't remember how the SOS figured out that it's supposed to be Beekman. Is that his name? Beekman.
Oh,
Last
because
the old
they
man's
found
son. Yeah.
they found the kid's diary and all kinds of stuff. Remember
Oh,
the
that's it. The diary. Yes, that's what it was. Yeah, they said
diary, and
he
then
was
they saw
angry
the video because like he was standing right behind
in the video
yeah, he
when
was
his
standing right
father.
behind Zach when he killed the old guy.
Okay, and that's why they think he's Lazarus going around trying to exact his revenge and set up Zach for committing these murders and stuff too. So yeah. So those that I like that the two how the two plots are moving along at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this book for a 5 issue
Mm,
mini. Like it's pretty stacked. I'm
yeah.
really impressed with the amount of story they were able to tell
So like every time Zach goes somewhere, then this Lazarus character shows up like shortly after to
and
clean
kills
up.
everybody,
Yeah, to clean up what Zach wouldn't clean up. Yeah,
which is making him look bad in the process.
yeah. Because right now everyone's thinking all the witnesses. Zach was here, beat everybody up, and then this Lazarus guy goes and does it incognito, like no one sees him, right? So all of a sudden they're all dead. So who was the last person to see them alive was Zach, and he got into a fight with them. So you know You draw the line, it draws the line points towards Zach every time. So yeah. Mm.
So, but he got two locations from the his old friend when before he beat up everybody in the underground. And like to get the attention of level 9, he goes and he starts blowing up the places where he knows where they are to get their attention. And after that, he goes to another old bar.
Yeah,
This one is where he meets his buddy Trip.
yeah. And at the door, that's the Doberman.
Yeah, Doberman, who's
The
another kind of
Doberman
like
guy.
big bouncer
Yeah,
type dude with
yeah.
who's also pretty cool. Yeah,
Where he thinks he's gonna be like everyone's gonna be like, oh shit, but yet they welcome him with open arms and happy he's back. And we find out there that the Black Death or Black whatever his name is.
yeah. Black
Uh,
Death has taken the price off his head.
yeah, they took the bounty off his head. So yeah. Yeah. And he's reminiscing, right? He's like saying how, oh man, back in the day, this place was hopping, and now it's almost dead. And he kind of starts feeling bad about like all his old friends and like how places he used to love hanging out and stuff, and now it's just disappearing, right? His past is going away and disappearing, but he finds
And he
out
asks the
otherwise when he
bartender,
talks
like,
to
yeah,
him.
hey, where is everybody? And she goes, hey, they're downstairs watching the fight in the pit. And he goes downstairs and sees
Yeah,
who's
he almost
fighting in the
forgot.
pit.
Yeah, he almost forgot about the fights. He's like, oh yeah, downstairs the pit. I almost forgot. Like they just keep reiterating how it's been a long time, right? He's like it just keeps accentuating how he's forgetting his old life slowly, and like all these little things are reminders, bringing him back. So, and I love the way they do that. Yeah. And do you think those two little kids are kind of like a poking fun at the old like extreme days of comics? Because he even says like, oh, they're all super decked out and enhanced and stuff, and
The one is
spikes.
obviously a Wolverine.
Yeah, but with the spikes coming out of their arms, like extra spikes that don't really do much, and
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of get more of a Frank Miller feel from that than like old
yeah,
school comics, but yeah.
yeah. Anyway, yeah. And like how he like, and he reiterates again. Back in the day, he would love that, and eat it up, but now he has a distaste for it. So like reiterating that now he has empathy, he cares about other people's struggles and pains. So like it's a reoccurring theme, like that internal struggle of his old life opposed to his new life, and they keep touching on it in the story beats as we go along, and that's another example of that. Mm.
And like, yeah, that pisses him off so bad. He leaves and he goes to his buddy Tripp's apartment. And like back in the day, Tripp kind of ran interference for him and his brother when they were on jobs. He basically has like this superpower where like he can make people hallucinate, which
Yeah,
get why they call him
trip balls,
Bad Trip. Yeah.
trip balls, man.
And
Yeah.
at first he's like, "Why are you here? You and your brother never liked me. I was just fodder for you and stuff like that." And like Zach's trying to tell him like, "No, dude, we were always tight, weren't we?" And like, it's kind of funny like how people remember things. Like the friend that felt used and the friend that I guess didn't think he used the person. I really like the way they kind of play up all that element of this friendship and
And
um,
how he felt abandoned after, like when he went into hiding, and they found out he was working with the SOS because he was their sidekick. So they came and found Trip and beat the shit out of him, busted his legs up, like, and he was left alone to fend for himself after all this, and you know, and like he felt double betrayed. Like he felt like they had a lack of respect back in the day, and then betrayed again because when he turned from villain to good, people put them in the same boat and they came and fucking kicked the shit out of him and stuff. But Tripp's a decent dude, man. He didn't like he voiced his displeasure and stuff, but didn't really hold it against him. He kind of forgave him, and offers him a place to stay that night and stuff. It was a nice little character moment, like where like villains aren't just about themselves and vain. Like they actually have like a bit of a camaraderie in ways between certain ones of them. Mm, yeah. So he lets him sleep on his what does he call it? His uncomfortable couch.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
that
it's kind of
which leads to probably one of the saddest scenes in the book.
yeah,
Mm,
finds his buddy,
mm,
and because of the happenstance, the last of his power gets used on Zack, and he like has a really cool hallucinatory experience where he kind of thinks that he is metaphorically fighting himself, but he is actually fighting the imposter
Lazarus outfit.
in the Lazarus outfit, and like it's really funny the way it plays out. I really liked that. I thought that was
Yeah,
funny.
those pages were awesome. Like the layouts, the I like those pages. They were pretty cool. Mm, mm.
And yeah, this leads to him getting caught by the level
Level
9
9.
people,
Mm-hmm.
and he's brought to Simon Slaughter, and he's kind of
Slaughter.
gets the monologue, he gets the whole thing, and I don't know. This is the part of the book I saw coming, but
Mm-hmm.
I really liked what Simon Slaughter kind of does. And do you want to spoil that, or I kind of want to leave it for the readers to find out?
Yeah, they could read it and find out. Mm,
But it's not the big greatest twist in the world, but I liked the way it played out. I liked his whole game plan, and basically things don't end too well for our buddy Zach either, because
no. But
the
I
way
think
that
that the twist was important. It wasn't like a great twist or anything, but I think it was important to set up like if they were planning a third arc, right?
yeah,
It was a
exactly.
it wasn't like a big like oh my god moment, but it was necessary because I don't know what they had if they what they had planned for that third arc, the way it finished on that cliff, not really a cliffhanger, but you know, you could just end it there too. It's a fitting ending, but it definitely left the door open for some great storylines
It would have been like
and
ending
story
Star
threads.
Wars at Empire Strikes Back, dude. Like
Yeah,
it's a terrible place to. I mean, it does have an ending for the story arc, but like
yeah,
there is a lot more to the story that like
way more. Like, and it was just like like we said, it was just like getting good, where you had like where he's actually going to have to come face to face with his old boss, crime boss there. Like there's so many little story threads that would have been really fun for them to explore with the characters. Mm,
yeah, or like even to find out like how much trouble he could actually be in, because like that could all be getting played up for an angle in the next book as well. So
yeah,
you
yeah.
never can tell with these kind of mafioso type stories like this, because that's another thing. Like I said, like this kind of really reminds me of some of the really better crime dramas, but like it's played up as kind of a more of a superhero story, where
And this book, I read like the back matter, and Brubaker was saying usually he writes with his ending first. He figures out how's the book going to end, and then he writes his story to the story on how it gets there. Whereas this time he didn't do that. He started like from the beginning and he didn't have an ending in mind, and he just kind of went with the flow for this second arc. He said that's the first time he's tried writing that way, and he's not sure if he'll ever do it again.
hmm,
He feels like it's more stressful for him and it's more work to try to figure everything out, like kind of, and you let yourself get sidetracked more, I guess, from like without having a solid set ending where it grows out maybe organically into other things that maybe he didn't think of. Like there's a few things that came in, like the Lazarus guy doing that other side plot. That wasn't originally in his ideas, and that came from that writing method. He came up with that idea after writing the first two issues, and then he went back and added
well,
that
I'm
into
happy he did it
the
because it
plot.
made the
Yeah,
world a lot more lived in it. Like
more interesting. Yeah, and added a little layer of mystery to the whole story in the background, right? Like
yeah,
the side story. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know if it was actually the dude's son or if it's another clone, or
Yeah, exactly.
because there's a
Which was
couple possibilities. So yeah,
yeah,
or maybe one of the other clones that like are supposed to be dead that aren't dead.
dead.
Because Brubaker loves to play with that shit. I mean, like a
Hmm.
lot of the stuff that he's done in both of these books mirrors some of the events that happened in his Captain America run. So I kind of think that these are ideas that like he wanted to do, but like he knew he couldn't get away with on a Marvel book. So he finally
Yeah,
kind of turned around and like did his own, kind of dastardly version of it where he could get away with, the raunchier side of those storylines.
yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed this second arc much more than the first, way more. Like I thought it was a nice progression from the first arc into the second, and really gave you like the way it looked. It looked like he was giving himself like so many more storylines to build from, and it's been 13 years, and
Yeah,
nothing came of it. And I know, like after the first arc, Fox picked it up. They optioned it, and they actually were working on a screenplay.
really, I didn't know that it was
Yeah,
op-
that's what I read that in the back matter. Yeah, he was like, I can't remember. He had one of his someone he's friends with was working on the screenplay for it, and Fox was supposed to. They optioned it, and it got to
Fox for
uh,
TV though.
movies. I think it was supposed to be a movie.
Okay, if it
Hmm.
was for TV, it's probably better that it never got
Yeah,
made.
yeah. So and he seemed pretty excited about it, and I guess it just nothing came of it. So maybe that's why he never came back to it. Maybe that left a bad taste in his mouth.
Yeah,
Putting all
maybe.
that, like getting excited, putting effort into it, and then it just gets dropped like that. And maybe he was just like, "Fuck it," you know.
That's too bad though, because this is I don't know. I find it extremely one of his more fun books. Like a lot of his stuff, their stuff lately has been really dry and really, really sobering.
Hmm.
But like this one, it's more fantastical. It's a little more wild. I kind of wish that they would get back to doing stuff like this. I mean, Reckless is fun and all in that kind of grindhousey way, but like
Hmm.
it's still way departed from like the kind of camp that you get from a pulp era stuff and
Yeah.
mafioso stories.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed this second arc. Like I like the first one, but this second one really, like now I want a third arc. Like I want that third trade. I want them to come back now.
Now you know how I felt all this time, man.
Mm. Yeah, like the first one was like, okay, this is good, but I wasn't like, oh, I need to read more. But after reading this second arc, I was like, I want more. Like now they've really gave you a lot of meat on the bone. Like they built the world, and like, mm, yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. But hey, what you gonna do?
At least there's a lot more from this creative team that you can read,
Hmm.
and it's all good. I'm not trying to take anything away from anything else Brubaker and Phillips has ever done. I just really like this and would like more of it, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
definitely, definitely. It's worth reading that first arc because the second one's great. So read both, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. Like so, and it was fun. Got to get my cherry popped with some Incognito from Brubaker and Phillips. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
good stuff.
Also, yeah, comment in the comments if you what Brubaker Phillips stuff you think Joe should read next. That should be fun to check out.
Mm.
But until next time, this is Pink Buzz. Joey, what do we got coming up?
Oh man, you want me to list like everything off, or
No, just what's coming up in the next couple ones, or if you want to, if you have the whole list handy, go
I have it
ahead.
right here. I have the calendar. So our next episode will be Friday. We're doing a Pink Distortion, where we talk about music, and we're gonna do like album art, album covers, uh, any album that you love, like the design of. We're gonna touch on that. Then on the 7th, we're gonna do another Pink Spots. This time we're gonna take a look back at some older Lemire works. We're still deciding between a couple different titles, but we're going to be touching on some old Lemire. Then on March 10th, we're going to have Dylan Corbiser coming on. He's going to be launching a Kickstarter for his book, Metalhead Samurai, which will be launching on the 7th of March, his Kickstarter. Then on the 14th, we're going to have Pat O'Malley, the writer creator for Pop Scars. That's coming out that week, I believe. The following week on the 21st, 22nd, his book's coming out through Sumerian.
Yeah,
So
he's
he's going to
getting the
be
big
on the
push
14th.
finally.
Yeah, so we're going to be having him on the 14th. The 17th, we're going to leave it open. We still haven't decided what we're doing for our episode on the 17th, but then the 21st, we're going to have Manu Filto. He's launching his Kickstarter for the fourth chapter of his book, Tales from the Interface. So he'll be coming on to talk to us about his new
Coming
book.
back on.
Yeah, yeah. We talked to him after he launched his third volume. After the Kickstarter was done, he came on to talk to us about his 3 volumes leading up to after that third. So we had him on. We had a fun chat. Then on March 24th, we're going to do, we haven't done a publisher spotlight in a while, so we're going to do Dark Horse on the 24th of March. We'll be talking about Dark Horse. We're going to pick a few books to go take a bit of a deeper dive on, but we'll be going over the history of Dark Horse because they have a long
A
history in
lot to talk
comics.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be doing a publisher spotlight on the 24th on Dark Horse. Then on the 28th, we have a really fun creator coming on. Colin Lorimer is going to be coming on. We'll talk Daisy. We'll be talking The Last of Us because he worked on the storyboards for the TV series on HBO, The Last of Us. He'll be coming on. So we'll definitely be talking about his comics. Daisy was his last release for comics, which was put out by
Dark
Dark
Horse.
Horse. So we'll probably be touching on that book a little bit on our publisher spotlight. And on the 31st, we'll be having EPHK will be returning to the show on the 31st. That'll be an afternoon show on that Friday. So he'll probably be coming on talking to us about an upcoming project of his called, for now, he's calling it Harpy. So we'll probably have some sample previews that he's going to send us to read. So we'll be talking about that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So that's our March lineup for next month. That's what we'll be covering on the show for next month.
And you're going to be posting this calendar on our socials, right?
Yeah,
In the
I'm gonna
pink.
put together a visual aid calendar, and I'll be posting it up on Instagram, Twitter, so people can go check it out and have reference. I'll even pin it so that yeah, easy
Hell yeah.
reference with the start times, the dates. Yeah. So March is shaping up to be a pretty fun month for the show.
Yeah. Lots of stuff and a lot of buddies coming back to talk to us again,
Yeah,
which is always
yeah,
cool.
yeah. We wanted to take it slow before we started having people come back on the show, so we want to ease back into it. And I mean, we've been back at it for a while now, so it's time to you know get back to the old school way we were doing stuff.
Yeah, doing backflips on tricycles and shit.
Yeah, so that's it. That's a summary for next month. What people could look forward to next month.
Hell yeah. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. We'll be back on Friday with a Pink Distortion episode. Album covers. It should be a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys then. Take it easy, y'all.
Have a good week, everyone.